Hello everyone and welcome to another video. In this episode I am making a diorama of Dr. Wily's castle from the game Megaman 2. I bought this Halloween toy light thing at the Norwegian equivalent to the dollar or pound store shop thing. The plan was to use the plastic head as it is, but my kids wouldn't let me ruin it, so I had to cast it instead, using a 2-part silicone putty. After the 2 parts are properly mixed, it takes about 20 minutes to cure. When that's done, I mixed up a batch of plaster. I didn't mix enough silicone to cover the whole skull, so I used tape and a small cup to hold everything in place while pouring in the plaster. I let the plaster cure overnight before removing it from the mold. A cast with a better medium would have saved me the steps of shaping and sanding the skull, but I'm happy with how the face turned out and I'm not too worried about the back. Now that I have the skull, it will be the piece I use to find out the proportions of the rest of the diorama. I have some IKEA bookcases with empty shelves that serves no purpose. These shelves make great diorama bases. The top is sanded and a thin sheet of foam that I actually found inside a destroyed freezing box is glued on and trimmed to fit. I usually like to start with a quick sketch on the base. This exercise gives me an idea of the scale and position. After cleaning up all the mess, I commit to the placement by attaching the head to the base. I used a lot of caps on this project. The perspective in the pixelated snapshot from the game is dramatic and unnatural, so I gave myself a great deal of freedom in interpreting the height of the surrounding walls and towers. These towers are made from Love Hearts lipstick. The main walls are made from cardboard. A thin cardstock was used to add depth to the main walls. I used a ladder from a broken fire truck toy to make the railings on the left side of the skull. Then it's just a matter of filling in gaps and holes in the build. The main entrance wall is sketched out and cut from a toilet roll and glued to a piece of XPS foam. The satellite dish is made from the inside of a ketchup bottle lid. It was a struggle to get this part out, and maybe I should get myself a Dremel. For the receiver part of the dish, I found an old dowel and started shaping it, until I had unintentionally made a tiny bowling pin. It was a lot of fun to make the imagined parts of the build. I didn't want flat, smooth surfaces on all the buildings, so I added tissue paper and watered down PVA glue to try and give this one the sort of old silo look. For the tapered roof, I cut out a circle and made a Pac-Man that eats itself until I had the angle I was going for. The 3 big bones in the back of the castle are made from Fimo polymer clay. These are really easy to make and quite fun. The spaceship was the easiest to make on the whole build. I just found some random parts and that's that. I figured that the spaceship would need some sort of ramp or bridge, so I made a small building to serve that purpose. It also fills a gap in the back of the diorama if anyone ever looks at it from a different angle or from the back. For the wizard's tower, I used a dowel and spent a long time carving the spiral. The taper going from the tower to the roof is just a bead that I carved ridges into. The roof is made the same way as on the other building, but with another smaller self-eating Pac-Man on top to get a distinct tapered shape. I used my soldering iron to sculpt the road leading up to the entrance and to sculpt some rock formations to the base. To prevent the foam from melting in the priming stage, I made a plaster, Mod Podge, paint and water mix. The plaster gives a fine texture for this scale miniature and it blends the different parts of the castle and base together. Once dry, I primed everything black. Next, I intentionally paint on a cold steel unevenly. If the paint on top is going to be worn and flaky, it's only natural that the metal underneath has suffered some wear and tear as well. The paint layer was stippled on. My hope was to give a more dramatic and exaggerated look. I was not sure how I wanted the 3 bones in the back to be positioned, if I should have them the same height or not. In the end I went with the different heights, but since I did go for the different heights, the shortest of the 3 bones ended up too short compared with the rest of the castle. So I had to make a base for the bones. I then connected the bone bridge to the wizard tower. I then added a brown wash to dirty everything up a little more and to tie everything together. The Dr. Wily logo was made by cutting out multiple of the same print and then gluing the layers on top of each other. I put a rock on it to prevent warping while drying. The last thing I did was to highlight the hard edges with the lightest white, and yeah, it's done. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Please consider liking, commenting and subscribing to my channel. A special thanks to Nestalgica for letting me use this awesome metal version of Dr. Wily's theme. Happy Halloween!